welcome to BizTechTalk. I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor. Thank you for joining us today and every Tuesday from noon to 1 for BizTechTalk, where we are hosting discussions with local and national business leaders.
Throughout our show, we're going to be talking to a variety of high-tech professionals and the business professionals about the latest technology and business trends which are happening today and coming tomorrow. Hey, and you know what's happening today is yesterday's big announcement of the super secret Microsoft Surface tablet.
What do you think about that, Daryl?
I think that, you know what, Microsoft, great product opportunity, a little bit late behind the gun, but everything you read and everything they did, geez, what is it? I mean, it's...
Looks like it's coming out along the same times as Windows 8.
Well, I think it's got about 6 months before Windows 8 comes out and so forth, and RT. So big issue is nobody could touch it, nobody could play with it, and you don't know what the price is, you don't know what it does or anything like that. So I think it might have been just a little bit early to market.
It's good for speculation, though.
We're selling vaporware right now.
You know, once again, what's it do for the BYOD
dilemma,
right?
Exactly. It's going to be all about the BYOD. It's going to be part of it. The nice thing is that it's going to be a Microsoft operating system, but the big concern that I think everybody's got is that, you know, the Microsoft had to, they had to do something to compete with Apple, and then Google's got something coming out later this month, and so it's like, let's get out before Google does, and say what we've got, so show what we've got. But I think it's really still in beta. It's still in product design development. It hasn't. We don't know when it's going to ship. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what it's going to cost. So there's a lot of unknowns in that whole thing that, although it was, well kept secret, I think they did a pretty good job doing that.
Good kept secret, and but they did leave out, they're throwing a little detail as far as being a thin device, so more of a Windows 8 series.
Well, I'm talking about the secret right up to the point of disclosure. Everybody was, what the heck are we talking about? A lot of speculation, no certainty, and we finally did find out that it was a PC or a tablet, if you will. So that took a while, but hey, I'm excited that there is something out there, and let's see if they have a much better success than the Zune.
Well, and Daryl, it brings us on to a topic that we like to talk about, and this isn't so much of a secret, is helping veterans get hired and seeking out veteran-owned businesses.
Oh, yeah. We're all about that. I mean, as a service-disabled vet, and you being a service-disabled vet, one of the passions that we both have are getting out there and promoting our opportunities for veterans. And you know what? I understood from our conversation yesterday with the folks at Voices for Innovation, Jonathan Freebert there. We had a little conversation with him about Microsoft is having an initiative to help veterans get hired. And, I think that it would be an opportunity to have them on and listen to what they're doing. As big as they are, they can make an impact.
Well, and not only can they make an impact, but they're looking for a lot of veterans. And so that's an opportunity for our servicemen and women out there to be honing your skills and how you might fall in line with something that Microsoft is doing.
Oh, yeah. It's good. With all the different variations on opportunities there, they're not just programmers, they're support people. They've got, I always tell people, Microsoft does have janitors who work for them. They have people who drive truck. They have people who do everything. It's a regular community. So they're going to expand and grow, and there's so many opportunities that people from all the different MOSs, and that's what does MOS mean again? Isn't it? I can't remember what MOS is. Dang it! Anyway, what their service occupation was, and I think it can translate into any one of the hundreds of different jobs that are going to be available at Microsoft coming up in the future.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's an impressive campus up there at the Microsoft campus, and we were up there a couple weeks ago.
Getting a chance to have lunch with Colin Powell.
So that was exciting. That was fun. So once again, I'd like to thank Jonathan for that opportunity to just come up and join him and see the Microsoft campus, but also be able to sit through a lunch with Colin Powell and
what a great guy!
Book.
Isn't he? Is he something else? I mean, oh my gosh, I learned a lot. The guy has got some great ideas on management, leadership, and so forth. And he showed them throughout his career.
Yeah, and the thing is very, very down to earth and stuff. So, and why don't we turn the page and talk a little bit about what we got coming up today?
Oh, today is really kind of an opportunity to learn about Well, compliance. And it's technology compliance, but it's also about you and your Visa card. And there's other cards out there like what is that? The Discover and MasterCard. They do that. We process those too. American Express occasionally.
We could call it plastic, right?
Oh,
so
yeah, plastic money.
Taking
Yeah.
plastic, you
Okay.
know. So it's a new way for not really a new way, but it's a merchant services that are out there available. But there's some compliance requirements that go along with that and protecting everybody's data.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So
Exactly. And so I love it that we're having Tamara McKay, who's a territory manager for Heartland Payment Systems, which help a lot of businesses around here locally and throughout the country to process that plastic and turn that into cash in your bank account.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting. So why don't we go ahead and take a break here, and we'll come back and bring Tamara on and start talking a little bit about PCI compliance.
Okay, I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor. You're listening to Clay 1180. You'll be right back with BizTechTalk.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
Are you tired of maintaining or upgrading your business technology year after year just to keep up? Moore's Law states technology will keep getting faster and smaller year after year. Office and Icon is making Moore's Law obsolete by giving you infinite computing power. It's always new with unlimited resources. It's fast, affordable, secure, reliable, and flexible with endless CPU, RAM, and hard drive. Never worry about a virus, upgrades, backups, or patches again. With Office and Icon, your office is anywhere at any time from any device. Unleash your power at officeandicon.com.
Few things say more about your business than the quality of the photos in your ads and on your website. Corporate photographer Rick Doms specializes in custom photography for discriminating corporations around the world and right here in Tacoma. Rick's photos have graced the pages of Forbes, Fortune, Barron's, the Wall Street Journal, and the marketing materials of a host of great American companies. Companies like yours. See what Rick Doms photography can do for your business on the web at rickdoms.com. RICKDAHMS.com.
AimBiz.com brings you the life of a business website. The majority of business websites can't be found by search engines, so their owners lose customers and money. An AIM Business website wins new customers on Google and Facebook. Imagine your website with great content management, an integrated blog, clean designs, and clear messages. To top it off, at AimBiz.com, you get a free website design mock-up before you ever spend a dime. For more information, go to AimBiz.com. That's AIMBIZ.com.
Welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor.
Hey, we're here every Tuesday from noon to 1. Don't forget to visit us at biztechtalk.net and listen to our shows if you missed the ones before. Download our podcast and email us with your comments or suggestions at info@biztechtalk.net. We're going to be talking to a lot of good folks this next few months, but today we're here with Tamara Mackey, who is with Heartland Payment Systems. And Mel, you're going to bring us in and tell us a little bit about Tamara.
Well, she's the territory manager for Heartland Payment Systems, and she's been helping business owners for the past 3 years make sense of their payment processing needs. And she really goes through the process, and it provides some excellent customer service in finding out how merchants can save money and better serve their clients and stuff. And although her office is in Seattle, she has accounts anywhere from Bellingham to Olympia. She is a Western Washington graduate. But what's interesting, and I think what I'd like to open up with is that she has ran full marathons in 48 states.
Oh, my God. You ran right through all 48 states?
So far, 48 done. We got 2 more to go.
And how did you get into running marathons?
I was doing a triathlon. That requires, you got to do 3 miles. So I don't know how 3 turned into 26, but it just started going up, and then once you do one, you're kind of addicted.
So now how long has it been in order to reach the 48?
It's been about 5.5 years.
So you've already been to Alaska and Hawaii. You're just still missing Iowa and Massachusetts. Is that it?
That's it. Those two. Everybody asks about Alaska and Hawaii. Loved Alaska. Wouldn't go back to Hawaii.
So what's next on the list after you finish those two?
Ironman.
But that's in Hawaii.
No, that's the championship. Thank you. I won't be making it to Hawaii. No, we'll be doing either Idaho or Tahoe Ironman. I heard just opened up for next year, so one of those two. Provided I can get through the swim. I just swam last night for the first time in a year.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
how do you go from running 3 miles to 26?
Just follow the person in front of you. I don't know. He didn't stop. Forrest Gump did it. Why can't I?
All right.
But, then again, life was a box of chocolates for him.
Well, and I guess being a fitness instructor for the Y, that has to fit in. But, we've got you here today to talk a little bit about PCI compliance.
And what is PCI?
compliance?
Yeah, really.
A fun topic. I'd rather talk about marathons and triathlons, but we'll do PCI today.
Hey, we're all about business and helping save money, and this is one of those areas that's important for people.
It's very important for businesses. It doesn't help. It helps them save tens of thousands of dollars. And
did you hear that out there? Tens of thousands, not just a couple five. Tens of thousands.
It can. We've seen it.
Is
that
a technical term?
So payment card industry, PCI. That's what it's about.
Okay.
So what does it do for a business?
Okay, so basically PCI, payment card industry standards. It's the 4 card brands. They have set aside some standards that businesses need to follow. But it's really just about bringing awareness to how they're doing their processing. How are they accepting those Visa, MasterCards, Discover, Amex?
Oh, okay. So who's with responsibility? Who's responsible for having, the compliance for the PCI in each of the businesses?
So as a processor for Heartland, we're responsible for our PCI compliancy, and then every person, every merchant or business that accepts any form of credit card has responsibilities as well.
And so this means that their responsibility is that they have to ensure that they're protecting the data, protecting the card, the numbers, and all of that. And there's certain procedures that they have to go through to ensure that they're compliant. And so what are those procedures and so forth?
Certainly, yeah. So they're protecting themselves as well as the customers, you and I. When you're walking into a business and using a credit card, you want to know that business is compliant because fraud costs a lot of money when you try to get that fixed. So
identity theft is a big deal too.
Yeah. So the basic procedure just to start out with is just to go to the PCI website and start out with the self-assessment questionnaire. It's called an SAQ.
And where is the PCI website?
They can just Google PCI DDS.
Okay, and
it'll pull it right up.
Okay, and PCI, what the DDS? What's that stand for?
Data. You got me there. Data security standards.
This is data. Okay. Okay. So, anyways, we're going to out there and we're going to find out that you Google PCI and DDS,
yep.
And then you're going to find out what you need to do and where the forms are, right?
Yep, the PCI and data security standards.
So you start out by filling out these forms, taking the assessment, and then you have to fill out some forms. Who's responsible for that? Is it the merchant? Is it the provider of the merchant services? It's the financial institution?
So the onus relies on each merchant themselves for their portion. So basically it's about a 12-page questionnaire. It doesn't cost anything. And there's 4 or 5 different questionnaires, and you have to choose the one that's based on how you process. Some people process through a phone line. Some use an e-commerce account. Some have a web-based program.
What
some
about these
do it with
PayPal people that just say, I'm going to start doing eBay and stuff like that, and I'm going to use PayPal. Do they need to be doing this too?
Yeah, they have to talk a little bit to PayPal about that because PayPal is compliant, I hope, in how they're doing it. PayPal's a little bit different because it doesn't necessarily might not be running directly through their computer as an interface. In other words, they aren't.
It's on the web, starting out there, yes.
But they aren't hosting the website. So you really need to get your IT person involved in this.
Okay.
And when you get also involved in how it works on the web, you need to get a certified assessor involved.
Okay. And where do you find a certified assessor?
On the same website, on the PCI. Yeah.
PCI DDS?
We recommend 403 Labs. There's only about 12 assessors that are looked at as okay to use by Visa MasterCard.
So a lot of people could be scamming you, telling you, I know what I'm talking about.
They
really not.
might, but they can't give the stamp of approval. So you need to do it the right way. Find one of the certified assessors. 403 Labs works with Heartland. They've been fabulous for our accounts. I've had my merchants call in and they can walk them through the questionnaire. They can do the quarterly scans.
Will this help you on insurance costs or anything like that? I mean, if I'm compliant, are my business insurance rates going to be affected, do you think, because I'm actually doing the right thing?
You'd have to talk with your insurance. I don't think so.
I can tell you from the financial institution standpoint and coming from the credit unions that this was a huge hit on our bond for renewal each year, and looking at how many chargebacks we had and offsets based on.
And if you weren't compliant, then you had your cost probably went up. Is that appropriate? Is that right?
Well, being compliant, I don't want to say it's an assumed thing, but I mean it's really comes back to what are your losses associated with credit cards and plastic.
Right, and if you're not maintaining that, then you can suffer more, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And that's and there's beyond just what's required for the PCI compliance. There's a lot more that goes along with that.
So in the end, anybody who actually is accepting the merchant, if I'm the guy selling whatever it is, I better know for sure that however I'm accepting plastic, whether that's on my website or in my office in my QuickBooks account, using that if it's on my PC or through some reader that I've rented or whatever, that I better be certain that it's compliant. Otherwise, there could be some problems that come back on me. Is that right?
They can. And the thing you have to know is compliancy goes beyond just the software and the hardware. So you have to take the steps to be compliant. That starts out with your self-assessment questionnaire. Then you have to have up-to-date software and hardware that has the protections to be compliant. But you do need to realize that just because you've taken all those correct measures doesn't mean something might not occur. You could still have fraudulent activity. You could still be hacked. But by doing the PCI portion, at least you've taken that step ahead.
So how will I know if I'm PCI compliant then?
Well, once you fill out the self-assessment questionnaire, you do it annually, you'll know that portion is done. If you are worried about your equipment being PCI compliant or not, you would talk to your processor. As an example, when I take on a new company that has a point-of-sale system, such as a restaurant, there's lots of point-of-sales, I have a list. If that point-of-sale system doesn't have the version that's up to date, they cannot board with us.
So you need to take this assessment every year. It's not something you do at once and throw it on a shelf, right?
Correct.
Every year. And then how do I make sure that throughout the year that I'm still compliant? Is there some issues that go on there?
There is. Well, if you're processing through something other than a phone line, then you have quarterly scans.
What about these new gizmos that they put on the end of a phone?
Yeah, right on the end of your iPhone. Is that a phone line?
No, that's not a phone line. Nope, that's an IP connection.
Oh, okay.
So you need to make sure the ones you're using are compliant, and you can just research the piece of equipment. So Heartland has one. It's called Mobile. You can go to our website and see the compliancy of that unit to know that that unit is encrypting card numbers. Is one of the keys. It needs to be encrypting the card numbers.
Okay, so that way you're protecting at least anything that goes encrypted. Is going to give you some sense of security and so forth, but really the assessments, and then there's an audit. Now, what's all about this audit? What takes place there when you go and get yourself audited?
So, Joe, are you talking about maybe the quarterly scans?
Yeah, when you're doing a security scan.
So what happens with those? So if you're processing through an internet connection, so a lot of people are with their point of sale systems, you have a certified assessor. He's going to run a quarterly scan. You give him your IP address for all the computers that are being used. And he's going to run scans on those, and he's going to come back, yes or no, you need to fix these things. So you really need to get IT involved at that point and see where your vulnerabilities are. Maybe your firewalls are down. Maybe you don't have passwords, and that's what they're going to work with you on to get you back up to speed on that.
Yeah, and simply password is not a password, and admin is not a password. It's on your firewall.
What about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Oh, you have so many of the
your date of birth,
QWERTY, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't believe how many people do that.
You know, I think that might be a good show. You know, what passwords not to use, right?
Oh, there's 95 of them. There's like a whole list of 95 don't use them because they crack them in a heartbeat.
You need to have 15 digits in a password to make it the most protected, as I understand.
And there has to be multiple, with characters and
upper, lower numbers, symbols.
Exactly.
I don't know how I remember it all.
Well, you make up a word and use the symbols for something.
Well, it's good until you have to change it every month, and the months start rolling together.
So we now know that what we need to do and how often we need to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but what if you have more than one location? Do you have to do this for every location as well?
Yes, each location, because each location could be processing a little bit differently. You might have a location where you have just a terminal that sits on the counter and it runs on a phone line. You might have another location where it's on the internet. Or they might have different ways in how they store credit card numbers. A lot of people think storing credit card numbers is against the regulations. It's actually not, but the PCI just wants to know how you're storing them, how are they protected, when are you shredding them. They just want you to have procedures in place. So actually, you're supposed to have written procedures in place if you're storing credit card numbers.
So now, is this something that the merchant pays somebody to do these quarterly audits, or is it part of the overall contract? Or
So with PCI, there's two different things. For one thing, a self-assessment questionnaire is free. Okay, it's free. You can go online, anybody can get it. It doesn't cost anything to fill out the self-assessment questionnaire.
And you can answer a lot of questions for yourself just by going through that, right?
Yeah, when you just go in there and log in, it doesn't cost anything. Print it out and do it. It's free. You don't have to turn it in. You just file it under PCI. The quarterly scans do cost, and they range, I've seen anywhere from about $3.95 to $4.95 per year.
Now, is that $3.95?
Yeah.
$395.
Yeah, well, that's an IT cost. It's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, when PCI came about a few years back here, it's been making some people a lot of money. True. So $395, about $495. Our accounts with Heartland, they pay $69 a year because of our partnership with 403 Labs. So they get a pretty substantial break.
So that's a huge break.
That's a huge break. But
Okay.
we wanted to make sure that our accounts, even though we don't regulate PCI, we don't ding you if you're not PCI, we wanted to make it easier for you. So we give you lots of help with it. We have people dedicated to helping you over the phone with it. We have 403 Labs. We've reduced the cost. It's either free or the quarterly scans are $69 a year. We don't charge for it. I've seen on many processing statements where people are being charged for PCI. We don't charge for it.
So what happens if they fail to get quarterly scans and so forth? Is there some kind of ramifications for not being compliant?
There is, and I'll give you an example of one from my accounts out of California. They were an online selling school textbooks. Somebody from the college hacked into the system and produced a bunch of fraudulent charges, stole credit cards because their infrastructure wasn't secure enough.
Oh yeah, you read about this all the time where lots of credit cards are out there being posted. So yeah.
They are. So they were breached, we call it. They had not done any of their PCI work because they didn't want to take the time, or whatever the reason was. So they had to pay for forensics. And when forensics started going through that and Visa, MasterCard started going through that, they saw they hadn't done their PCI, and you're immediately dinged thousands. It's like $750,000 from one and $2,500 from another. So they paid thousands of dollars, and what happened is that merchant went on what's called a blacklist, and then nobody could process for them.
And then that basically puts them out of business, right?
It does. It took them 6 months of me, and I actually went in person to the company back east and got them to be able to process again. But it took 6 months. So really,
it doesn't matter what size of company you're at. It's important that you do this, because I see, like you and I, Mel, we go to these little events all the time, and there is somebody sitting there with a phone, and it's a nonprofit organization. They're taking our $20 for lunch or our $7 for this meeting, and do you think that they've been, I don't think that they've, spent a lot of time doing this PCI compliance or anything like that, because it doesn't seem like, I just don't get that it's something like, we got this today, we're going to do this, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and last year I was heading to Sturgis on my motorcycle and stopped about an hour outside.
That's another show, by the way.
Stopped outside of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, to get gas, and then we stopped in Jackson Hole to have lunch, and right as we were sitting there, our card had been compromised, and so it was just one of those swipe things at the counter. So you never know when it's going to happen. So it's great to have people like Heartland to make sure that you're in compliance.
Well, when we come back from the break in a second here, let's talk about protections and so forth, and things that we can learn and protect ourselves and our companies.
Yeah, we're here with Tamara Mackey from Heartland Payment Systems, and we're talking about PCI compliance.
I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional, and we're going to be right back with Mel West and
KLAY 1180.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
In today's economy, doing more with less has become the standard. Feeling overwhelmed or out of control does not have to be part of that standard. If you are looking for improved profitability and better teamwork, West Business Concepts' expertise in sales, organizational development, and finance offers real-world solutions today. West Business Concepts helps you develop clarity and focus on who matters most. Gain an edge over your competition. Visit westbusinessconcepts.com today. That's westbusinessconcepts.com.
Be a part of Tacoma's Waterfront Association, a dynamic organization dedicated to making Tacoma's waterfront a great place to visit and do business. Join them the second Wednesday of each month from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Crow's Nest at the Tacoma Yacht Club to hear exciting guest speakers and see what's happening on the waterfront. Be a part of the community strength. Make a difference along Tacoma's magnificent 46 miles of waterfront. For more information or to become a member of the Tacoma Waterfront Association, visit tacomawaterfront.org.
In Pierce County, 17% of residents are food insecure. That's 1 in 6 people who are unsure where their next meal is coming from. Someone you know is going hungry. What can you do about it? Help support Fish Food Banks of Pierce County. For every dollar received, Fish's 8 food bank locations can distribute $7 worth of food to families in need. To learn more about stopping hunger here in Pierce County, go to fishfoodbanks.org. That's fishfoodbanks.org.
Welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Daryl Bowman.
And I'm Mel West.
And we're here every Tuesday, noon to 1, and on Clay 1180. Hey, don't forget to check out BizTechTalk.net and let us know what you're thinking about. And don't forget to download our podcast and our shows at iTunes.net.
Visit us on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube.
Hey, fantastic. Hey, as we were leaving the break here, we were talking a little bit about, what would happen about compliance and those different kinds of things. So with PCI. So I'm just wondering, Tamara, what is it that we need to make sure that our listeners know who own businesses that are out there? What do they need to make sure that they're doing to be compliant? So, and what are the ramifications if they don't?
Good question. So the first step is that SAQ, self-assessment questionnaire. Just go online and fill it out. That's their absolute first way to go.
Doesn't cost them a penny, so they're making a good investment in themselves doing it.
Correct.
Now, there's 5 versions of the SAQ. Mm-hmm. How do you know which one to complete?
So there'll be a questionnaire first that will ask you questions about how you're processing, and that will then lead into which SAQ you are. Like one SAQ is if you're just calling them in over the phone. One is if you're running them through a terminal that's plugged into a phone line. One is if you're doing e-commerce. One is if maybe you have a website, but when people go on there, it actually redirects to another website, and so you're not even touching the processing. So
yeah, and some of this stuff is going to be, depending upon which store, because you could be answering multiple ones, right?
Which store?
Yeah,
you mean like different
multiple
locations?
Stores, yeah,
correct.
Multiple locations or whatever. Then you could be answering multiple different SAQs.
Correct, because each store is processing differently. So our recommendation is, if you have different locations, do one for each location. But if you have one location and you're processing in different methods, you're going to do the highest SAQ, A through D.
Okay.
You're going to do the highest one in relation to how you're processing. You don't have to do the easy one, which is B and then D. Right, it's one. You can do the highest level.
So now, if I haven't done that and I'm just, this guy that goes out there, and I've got a small website and I sell trinkets online or something like that, and I've got my little website. I had a guy build it for me and so forth, and he's done his stuff. But I
got a guy.
Everybody's got a guy, right? Just put it together, and I didn't do anything. What happens to me if I'm compromised?
So if you're compromised, the first thing Visa and MasterCard are going to ask for is, where's your paperwork? Where's your PCI paperwork? What have you done? And if you haven't done that, they fine you immediately. If you have done the paperwork, that's fabulous. It doesn't stop you from getting breached or hacked, because that's a full-time job. Hackers are out there. That's what they're doing.
What about being fined?
But the the PCI fines will not be there.
What if I'm a user? I'm a customer, and somebody that I did business with wasn't PCI compliant. I assume they were, but they weren't because they didn't do their thing. Is there anything that I can do because I've been breached and now my identity's been stolen and thousands of dollars have been taken from my accounts?
Well, they're going to get dinged enough from Visa and MasterCard, so you probably won't have to do anything. The Visa MasterCard will know. That's the first thing they're going to ask for. So if you've reported a fraudulent charge on your credit card to a certain place of business, when they go in, that's the first thing they're going to ask for. Kind of like when you have an auto accident, they want to see insurance.
Right.
It's very similar. That's what they're going to look for.
This is insurance. It doesn't cost a heck of a lot if you're doing the right thing.
Correct. It doesn't cost a lot at all. It can cost zero to than the quarterly scan.
Being proactive is a lot better than being reactive.
In this case, it really is.
This is one that really could pay off.
And I can't stress enough to so many people that we've done business with over the course of the last 20 years that I've talked to that said this comment came out over and over again. We're not selling rocket parts, so why do we have to worry? And this is why they have to worry.
Yeah, and the accounts that get breached or hacked the most are actually the smaller accounts. They're the accounts with maybe a point of sale system that's linked to the internet, and you have firewalls, and maybe your staff goes in there and checks their email. They're in there doing their Facebook on company computers that are used for processing credit cards. That's when it starts happening. They let down those firewalls so they can look at those attachments and those pictures you've sent to them. They let down the firewall so they can look at that. And that's when the hackers come in and establish malware on your systems.
What's interesting? You mentioned firewalls. And I have so many folks that they don't understand what an actual firewall is. And you're talking about a physical device that you put in place there, not just some piece of software that's sitting on the computer, but you actually have a hardware physical firewall that has some kind of a control mechanism on it that blocks certain things and is tracking activity. Am I right?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
So it does take a little bit of extra effort in there to put that in, and it's not just the modem that they gave you when you got your Comcast or your cable modem or whatever, and saying, well, that's fine. I mean, they told me it has a firewall in it, but it doesn't.
And this is probably something better to leave to your IT professional.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, but you really need to trust somebody to work with because it is important if you're doing any kind of business that you have a firewall because whether you're taking money or not, you have a couple things that people like, hackers like, and that is you have bandwidth, you have storage space, and you have a place with data that they can use, and some of those are email addresses or whatever, or it could be critical customer information where they can grab that and they can do all kinds of spoofing and so forth, which again is another a way to discredit your company.
Right. Head to your IT person. You can help them with that, Daryl. You tell them.
Oh yeah, well that's what we do. We want to, that's. But it's very important to get as many people as possible out there talking about the kinds of ramifications that you get if you don't. And this isn't one of those FUD things where fear, uncertainty, and doubt is what we're trying to spread. This is real stuff. I mean, we're talking about real attempts at hacking, and those are constant, by the way, aren't they?
Oh, all the time, weekly. Even at Heartland, we hear about it weekly. Some of our merchants that have been breached, and one of my accounts, they called and they ordered 2 air conditioning units, and so they paid him $4,000 for those air conditioning units, and then they wait for you to deliver, and then they do a charge back. So it's hacking into your system, and it's just hacking into your infrastructure of accepting credit cards. It's a daily thing out there. You just got to be on your toes about it.
And you know that there are people, I mean, in other countries and in other locations around this country and so forth that have rooms that are set up just to do just that because it's a white-collar crime and it's very difficult to track and it's pretty lucrative without having to put a gun to anybody's head.
Daryl, that's correct. And they don't even have to have rooms. There's actually a case that was reported back in the East Coast reporting on Seattle. And we had people who were driving around in their cars, sitting outside of places of businesses, and from their cars, they had all the equipment needed. They were hacking into your place of business while you sat there with customers in your building taking credit cards. They were hacking in right from their car.
So it's important that you protect and you secure that wireless access that you have. You think is, oh, well, what do I need a password for? Nobody really cares, right?
Now, Tamara, do you guys help with the policy side with the merchants that you guys work with to help them with some standard policies or procedures?
Yes, and one of the things that we do is when I sit down with a client, I just find out about how are they processing. And I run into a lot of the healthcare industry where they are recording credit card numbers on a notepad and keeping them in charts and things. And we have actually equipment and a system in place so they don't have to do that anymore. We have virtual terminals. You can enter all that stuff. There's no reason why people need to be recording credit card numbers anymore and keeping them around. So that's not in violation to record a credit card number, but there's so many other easy methods to help protect you there. You don't need to do that anymore.
And when they do it in the method that you're talking about, it doesn't keep anything on their system. It actually just transmits that information and then gets rid of it right away. So you're not holding on to anything.
Correct.
Right?
None of it's on their system. It's actually on Heartland servers out of state. On their system, if you looked it up, it's truncated. But at least that information is there. If they have things where they do reoccurring billing, they break payments up. And I say the healthcare because that's where it happens, where we have to break up payments sometimes. But we use it in other instances. Any Chamber of Commerce will work with Heartland quite a bit with using our system where you can do reoccurring. So I sit with them and just try to go over ideas about how to process more securely and what the policies are from Visa, MasterCard. You remember the little 3-digit code everybody asked you for?
Right.
That's
security code.
That is one of the main myths. That 3-digit code does nothing to help you in your processing, and that's people don't understand that code.
I just had something last night say I don't need that card to process.
Speaking of that 3-digit code, another myth out there that I think is important is that signature on the back. A lot of people will put on the back, please see ID or something.
Oh, so you're talking about me right now.
Well, maybe I am. But, the thing is that doesn't,
doesn't protect anybody.
Doesn't protect anybody. But the thing is that if you don't sign it, the merchant doesn't have to accept the card.
That's true.
But if you sign it and then have please see ID, but they don't even have to look at your ID in order to take that
And
card.
you know what? So many people don't. And I'm always impressed when they do. Because they do look around and they go, oh. And I'm really kind of shocked when someone turns around and they say, well, hey, this says let me see your ID, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, it's in the best interest of the merchant to ask for that because chargebacks are timely and consuming. And a merchant doesn't want to deal with a chargeback, which is when somebody calls and says, I wasn't at that place of business, I didn't use my credit card there. Becomes a chargeback, and it goes into a rigmarole of paper, and he said, she said. And it's just a pain.
Well, it's unbelievable the amount of time that's spent processing chargebacks, not only from the merchant but from the consumer to the financial institution to the processor, all the way around, and that's what really drives up the cost. And I think maybe that's a good segue to get into another topic that's the Durbin Amendment.
What is the Durbin Amendment?
The Durbin Amendment is it's actually the first time in history that Congress has regulated to the banks who issue the credit cards. It's put a cap in the debit side of it of what the banks can charge me, a processor. So
the banks can only charge you X number of percentage then.
Yes, exactly. And up until now, Congress has not been regulating the industry at all. We're a financial industry that is unregulated, which is really crazy because everything else is regulated.
Well, it was up until a few years back, and then it went crazy on us.
So it hasn't been regulated, and so it started October, and so basically the Durbin is stating that this is the cap that a bank can charge a processor. What has happened out there, and what the myth is merchants, the reason why the Durbin was put in place is to help merchants because to lower their costs of us using our credit cards there. But what merchants didn't understand and didn't realize is they thought they were going to get this big reduction. It is completely up to a processor how they charge somebody. There's nobody can say.
And so
how
give
I
us an
charge.
example of how they charge so that we can understand that.
So processors can pass through costs however they want. So when you have a credit card, there's a percentage attached to it. That, like at Heartland, we're charged a percentage from the issuing banks. We can pass that through however we want. Heartland passes through the true cost. So if you look at a Heartland statement, you're going to see that exact cost. What we make is separated out. But how many processing companies have chosen to charge, which isn't wrong, it's just a different method, is they do bucket or tiered pricing. So no matter what card you take, it's one certain percentage, and they've put in the costs that are from the banks and their costs in it. Well, what has happened with that when the Durbin came about is they didn't pass through any of those savings, which was intended for them.
Oh, so in other words, they were able to keep a little extra.
Not a little, millions.
Millions.
And
it's huge, and and the fact is
that
it's
money
not
back?
just the financial institutions, because it really goes back to the processors that they hire to do the processing on the back end for them. And so in the end, the consumer, which we were, and the merchants that we were trying to help, it ends up costing them more money.
Yeah, a lot of the processors, and I'm amazed. The Durbin started in October, and Heartland's passed through more than $3 million. I could look at our website and it would have it on there. But more than $3 million we've passed through in savings to all of our accounts. And there are not a lot of processors out there doing that. I still, when I go meet with a new business owner, I look at how their pricing is set up, and I see that they're taking half in debit cards instead of being charged through. The cost went down, just so you know, from about 1% to a half of a tenth.
Whoa.
And that's huge. I think maybe this is a great place because I want to get into talking about just this last segment that we have on how to select a processor and looking at some of those different costs. Why don't we take a break here? And
Okay,
when we come
fantastic.
back, we can talk about how do you go about that and identify what some of those charges are.
Okay, well, hey, I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional, and
And I'm Mel West, and you're listening to Clay 1180. We'll be right back after these messages.
Cloudsway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. Cloudsway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. Cloudsway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. Cloudsway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
Few things say more about your business than the quality of the photos in your ads and on your website. Corporate photographer Rick Doms specializes in custom photography for discriminating corporations around the world and right here in Tacoma. Rick's photos have graced the pages of Forbes, Fortune, Barron's, the Wall Street Journal, and the marketing materials of a host of great American companies. Companies like yours. See what Rick Doms photography can do for your business on the web at rickdoms.com. RICKDAHMS.com.
AimBiz.com brings you the life of a business website. The majority of business websites can't be found by search engines, so their owners lose customers and money. An AIM Business website wins new customers on Google and Facebook. Imagine your website with great content management, an integrated blog, clean designs, and clear messages. To top it off, at AimBiz.com, you get a free website design mock-up before you ever spend a dime. For more information, go to AimBiz.com. That's AIMBIZ.com.
Be a part of Tacoma's Waterfront Association, a dynamic organization dedicated to making Tacoma's waterfront a great place to visit and do business. Join them the second Wednesday of each month from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Crow's Nest at the Tacoma Yacht Club to hear exciting guest speakers and see what's happening on the waterfront. Be a part of the community strength. Make a difference along Tacoma's magnificent 46 miles of waterfront. For more information or to become a member of the Tacoma Waterfront Association, visit tacomawaterfront.org.
In Pierce County, 17% of residents are food insecure. That's 1 in 6 people who are unsure where their next meal is coming from. Someone you know is going hungry. What can you do about it? Help support Fish Food Banks of Pierce County. For every dollar received, Fish's 8 food bank locations can distribute $7 worth of food to families in need. To learn more about stopping hunger here in Pierce County, go to fishfoodbanks.org. That's fishfoodbanks.org.
hey, welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Daryl Bowman, right here with,
Mel West.
and we're on Clay 1180 at BizTechTalk, and we're talking today with Tamara Mackey.
Mackie.
I said it. Tamara Mackey. Okay. And she's here with Heartland Payment Systems. We're talking about PCI compliance and about payment card infrastructure, what we're doing to get your money from plastic. So the big thing is that we're going to talk about is how to get a processor. When you're talking to someone to help you choose your process your credit cards and so forth online with you, how do you do that? What do you got to go about? And I guess the best way to go about finding that.
So what's the questions you ask a processor as you're getting into this? Maybe you already have a processor or you're just looking at it the first time.
Yeah, so if you're a new business and you want to find a processor, I would, there's about 11 direct processors and then there's about 1,000 brokers out there. So I kind of tend to find one that's maybe more of a direct processor, or somebody who is, has local representation is a really big thing.
So how do you know a direct one from one of the other 1,000?
Just ask them who does their processing, and they'll know.
I mean, you said there's only 11, so they should be somewhere, right? Real quick and easy to find.
Yeah, it's harder than you think to find, but
I mean, if you ever been to a chamber event, I mean, there must be 3 or 4 people that are selling merchant services. at any
Every
event.
chamber event, there's at least 5 to 10 bank represented, or some kind of financial institution is represented, or and so forth. And then then there's all. We won't talk about insurance again.
No. That's funny. I got a call on that actually.
A couple shows ago, Mel said Mel made the comment.
No. We don't want to go down there, right?
You don't want anybody to hear. You don't want anybody to talk to you on an airplane. What's the first thing you do? You tell them, "Hey, I'm insurance." You want to talk about it?
I did hear Mel say that. I heard him say that a couple of weeks ago, Mel.
Yeah. One of our insurance friends called.
I'm sure you hit some chords there.
Yeah, but it worked again on my trip back from Atlanta as I was trying to get some shut-eye. So.
But I think local service, and I don't mean by local service, I don't mean processing locally, because there's really no processors that process locally. They all go find the best piece of real estate where they can set up their infrastructure. But finding local representation, a face-to-face contact who can help you, because the thing is, that little piece of equipment that's taking those credit cards, that's your financial, that's your money. So you really need to put some time into it. I know that, and that piece of equipment is frustrating to a lot of people. So put some time into it.
Speaking of that little device, how often should that be changed out?
You change it out?
Well, a few can go out of compliancy, but it takes a little while to go out of it. So if they have a low memory, what happens is you can't upload new requirements. So Visa, MasterCard, believe it or not, about every 3 months put new requirements out to Heartland. And so each time we board a new account, when we download the equipment, it becomes more and more.
When you say board, that means onboard,
load, bring them on, install.
Yeah. Okay,
yep.
There we go.
So the equipment does get new compliancy and gets more secure. Heartland has a terminal called the E3. It's called end-to-end encryption. So it encrypts by hardware, not software, so card numbers can't be compromised. But the equipment, you just have to you don't have to change it out. It'll die before it goes bad.
It'll die, huh?
It'll die on
But
you.
as far as staying compliant, you don't have to worry about that?
You'll get a letter, yep. Some of like the individual PIN pads where you punch in a 4-digit PIN number for debit, some of those went out of compliance a while back. So, you know when you get your statements from your processor, you really do need to read them. A lot of people don't open it because that's where it's going to say. So when you get that statement, usually there'll be one page that kind of highlights some changes in the world of credit card processing. So really read that statement. And if you're not getting that information from your processor, then you need to look around.
Now, do you purchase these things or do we lease them?
So different companies do it differently. I only sell them. They cost about $300 depending on what kind you have, and you can lease, and there's good and bad things to that. Leases can be very expensive. I've seen where they lease them for like $50 a month or more.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of cost, the understanding your statement can be a maze.
Correct.
What are some of the things that a business owner should look at as they're looking at that merchant statement?
So you should be able to look at that statement and really see the true cost of accepting every card type. You should be able to see, and I have merchants say, oh, it's so convoluted, I can't read it. Well, you know what? Have your rep, they should be local, sit down with you and go over it with you one time. If they should be able to easily explain it to you, and you should be able to understand it. You know, my statements at Heartland, they list all the card types, the percentage, and the fees, everything right next to it, so you can know exactly what you're being charged, and you also know actually what Heartland makes in profit.
Now, do they notify you of any increases or decreases, or are there ever any decreases?
There are decreases. We just had it at the Durbin, for Pete's sake. Where were you on the last segment?
No, I know that, but I mean, Congress had to mandate that. I mean, other than mandate.
That was a huge decrease. So like at Heartland, that's why I say read your statement, because we do notify you on that. There's only 2 times a year Visa, MasterCard can change. That's April and October. And we notify you right on there if there's an increase or decrease, and we pass that along.
Do you ever guarantee the rate?
Yes, we do. We guarantee what Heartland's rate is. Definitely, we guarantee it. If you guarantee
How long?
For the lifetime that you stay in that volume. So if I'm with a business and they're processing $100,000 in a year, as long as you stay within 10% of that, I guarantee that rate.
Okay. For what transaction besides the transaction fees? Are there other type of fees you can get charged?
I've seen all kinds of fees out there, so you really want to ask that ahead of time so you're not surprised. There is PCI fees that some people decide to charge. There's annual fees. There's batch fees. There's extra surcharges. All kinds of stuff people can make up.
So, and a lot of times you can just move the costs around because as a broker, they have the ability to, and this is where it's probably better to go with somebody direct, because they have the ability to move fees around so that they can make it look like a win over here, you know, and lower your rate to get your business, and then you're locked into this long contract.
Yep.
Now, speaking of contract, you know, What about those contracts? Are they...
Contracts are pretty standard. There are some businesses that are month to month, but the thing you need to remember out if you're doing a month to month is your rate is usually not guaranteed. If there's no contract, then your rate often isn't guaranteed. Contracts are pretty standard. Just like you have a contract on your cell phone and on your utilities, some things in your home, your dish network and things like that. Just ask if there's a contract and just ask, hey, if I want to break it, how do I break it?
Okay.
There should be a reasonable cost to break it.
How long does it take to get your money when you're doing these things?
To be funded?
Yeah, the minute I swipe my card, how long until it's in my account?
Well, each processor has a little bit of a choice on that. Heartland is 24 to 48 hours. I've seen some that take up to 3 to 4 days on some other processing accounts. And so, I've been able to gain some accounts from that. And weekend funds for Heartland going on Monday. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I think, Mel, do you have any last questions?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I really want to thank Tamara for joining us today. It's been exciting to learn a little bit about PCI compliance and selecting a processor. Thank you.
I do. I think it's been great. And hey, good luck in Massachusetts and Iowa.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sooner or later you're going to get those two states and you're going to nail it there. Hey, I want to say also, don't forget, we at BizTechTalk, Mel and I, we want to say go out there, seek out veteran-owned businesses wherever you can, because those veterans that have served our country are doing what they can here now to get new jobs and so forth. And from what I understand, the veteran population has the highest unemployment rate out there.
Almost double that of the normal unemployment.
And that's
if
not
you want
fair.
to call it normal.
That's not quite fair. We need to do something for those people who made it possible for our freedoms. So if you're looking for a place to have some services done or buy some products, look at a disabled or a veteran-owned business and hire a veteran whenever possible to support your business and whatever activity.
And if you're out there and you're hiring and you don't know who to get in contact with to help some of these young military members that are coming out find jobs, seek us out at BizTechTalk.net. That's info at BizTechTalk.net, and we can put you into some of the contacts that we have. And we have several of them around the area.
Hey, we've had several shows. Go ahead and listen to our podcast. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Daryl Bowman, your IT professional, and Mel.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor. And join us next week from noon to 1.
On Clay 1180. Thanks for joining us.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
In today's economy, doing more with less has become the standard. Feeling overwhelmed or out of control does not have to be part of that standard. If you are looking for improved profitability and better teamwork, West Business Concepts' expertise in sales, organizational development, and finance offers real-world solutions today. West Business Concepts helps you develop clarity and focus on who matters most. Gain an edge over your competition. Visit westbusinessconcepts.com today. That's westbusinessconcepts.com.
Are you tired of maintaining or upgrading your business technology year after year just to keep up? Moore's Law states technology will keep getting faster and smaller year after year. Office N and Icon is making Moore's Law obsolete by giving you infinite computing power. It's always new with unlimited resources. It's fast, affordable, secure, reliable, and flexible with endless CPU, RAM, and hard drive. Never worry about a virus, upgrades, backups, or patches again. With Office N and Icon, your office is anywhere at any time from any device. Unleash your power at OfficeNandIcon.com.